I think it's mostly the temptation of doing different things and different topics and of not repeating myself. So that's why I'm I'm always looking to find out stories which are deeply moving me, but not necessarily the same type of genre films. And that's why I decided for my second film to try to do like a comedy or like a social comedy, and now to do something more serious. And I really love this kind of flexibility of any filmmaker, which I think is also, if if you can do it, it means that I think you are mastering in a way a lot of crafts which are related to what it means to be a director. And it's also about, I think, not repeating yourself. And I think with every film you are also getting mature, and also you are interested in different topics. So that's why my films do not resemble one to another. And I have a friend which he saw this last one, Why Me, and he told me like, who are you? Like, who are you as a director? Are you the guy behind this film or behind the others? Or it was difficult for me for him to put me in a box. But for me, that's, I think, a good thing, because I think every time you have to surprise your audience. I think it's all related to the stories which we tell. I think for me that's the main important thing. Like telling a good story, you can of course do it in many different ways, but I think the story is the thing which really pushes your film forward. And every time when you have a different story, it's about finding different technical means or different ways of telling this story. The real facts pushed me to this story, because it happened in 2002. I was quite young at the time, but I remembered, I was very moved by the suicide of this guy. I collected a lot of newspapers, articles, I read about it. It was very emotional. So I thought there is something there which is really strong, and there is material to do a great film. So that's why I kept it in mind, and a couple of years later, in 2007, I I got very much. I remembered this story, and finally I've decided to start it, because for me it was a year, this year 2007, when it was also very difficult, because I worked in television for 2 years, in the public television, and I had my slice of political pressure and tension and emotions and compromises. So I wanted to do a film which is also about me and about my experiences. So I remembered this very sad case of the young Romanian prosecutor. I think what there were two moments, I think, important in the recent history. The first moment was the suicide of this young prosecutor, which created such a big emotion in the justice, because he was perceived like the possible upcoming Romania's general prosecutor. It was a very good guy. So in that particular moment, 12 or 13 years ago, it was a moment of emotions, when everybody said that situation cannot be, I mean, this situation, when the politicians are dictating in the justice and they are just doing what do they want, cannot stay the same. So it was a moment of change. And then in the last couple of years, it was like a zero priority for the politicians. Like they really were, I think, mostly because of the Western push, and what also United States was very clear, and they were like many times saying that Romania has to fight 10 times more aggressive against corruption. So I think in the last 2 years, the successes were massive, because like politicians were put in jail every day, every week there is something happening. So I think, and it's irrelevant from which political party they are. I think the National Department of Fighting Against Corruption, I think, is quite independent. So they really did great things. But it's about, I think, setting up this zero priority and zero tolerance, and that's why they were successful. I think there are no I I don't have the answers actually. There is no logical explanation because we are not having like a great film school. We are not having a great state policy. We are not supported well. The film institutions are not working well. The the Romanian cinema center is a total mess and it's ridiculous organization. So surprisingly enough, somehow this group of people, I think, managed to exist in the same time and to create great films. And I think most of it's because I'm part of a generation which rejected so much what was before in the Romanian films and all the old way of telling stories full of cliches and metaphors. So I think it was a moment, and I think the filmmakers influenced one to another to talk about the simple stories, and it's this mixture of simplicity and humor and good acting and so on and so forth created those films. It's very well. We were very happy in the first weekend. We got more than 19,000 viewers, and now actually we are touring with the film. I'm now in Timișoara. I will be in some other cities in the next week, and it's going great because I think people are really loving the film, and I think is it's a story which moved many people and emotioned many people, and I think it's so much about may it's such a great joy of discovering that the audience needs this kind of stories, which are, maybe sad stories, but they are so much about what do we live now and about this sick relationship between politicians, secret services, prime minister, and so on and so forth. It's crazy because sometimes I really don't find time for me as a director to do some work and to prepare. So every time when I'm ready to do a new film, it's like waiting for the moment to happen and try to find some months of really being alone and to think about the film. And I think trying to do creative jobs in the same time when you do producing or organizing a festival, it's hell of a thing to do. But I really want to keep doing films, and I hope that I will be able to delegate more and more responsibilities so that I could be more and more a director. I think the whole process was great for me because I mean I knew Boris and I knew Victor before, and even though we did not work before together, we've met in a lot of festivals and workshops. And I think every time when you co-produce with somebody, it's nice to co-produce with friends or with people which you know. So for me, it was important. They liked the story. They want to be a partner in this project. So it was great. And I mean, beside the work with the producers, it was great to work with the team because I think we had great Bulgarian technicians, and I work also with the composer, with their father. So it was really a great chance to to do this collaboration, and working with the Bulgarian team was like working with my Romanian team. So we were like all like a big family. I think the only message would be that I would really want to the audience to stay really close to this film, because this fight against the corruption is a problem so important in Bulgaria as well. And I think for me it's a story so much about the eastern and central countries, and I think I'm pretty sure that the Bulgarians will resonate with the topic of the film and with this journey which the main character is doing as to find the truth. And I hope that they will come to see the film.